In ancient China, in a village surrounded by mountains and rivers, there existed a law that surprised both locals and outsiders. Those sentenced to death by decapitation had a single chance to save their lives. They could pay for a slave to take their place. This transaction not only offered them a second chance, but also implied a radical transfer of identities. One day, a man named Li was sentenced to death for a crime he had committed. His family, desperate, searched for someone who could replace him. Among the many who offered their lives for a price was a slave named Zhang. Zhang was a strong man with dreams of freedom, but knew his life was marked by servitude. When he heard about Li's sentence, he saw in it an opportunity for redemption, not just for himself, but also for the condemned. After reaching an agreement, the ritual exchange was performed. In a solemn ceremony, Li received the name of Zhang, along with the story of a slave who had carried the burden of his crimes. Meanwhile, Zhang assumed the identity of Li, his family, his work, and above all, the sentence hanging over him. Zhang, now Li, was taken to the execution site. As the village watched, he felt a weight on his shoulders, but also a strange liberation. For the first time, he could live as a free man, though at the cost of another's life. The crowd hailed him as a hero, unaware of the high price his salvation had come. Meanwhile, the real Li prepared to face his fate. At the last moment, he recalled his mother's teachings on compassion and sacrifice. As he watched Zhang face his end, he realized that his life had not only been saved, but was the result of an act of love. This story, although moving, resonates with a deeper truth. Just like Li and Zhang, in life, there is a greater sacrifice that transcends time and history. Jesus, the Christ, took our place on the cross. In an indescribable act of love, he assumed our offenses and sins, exchanging our identities for his own. Just as Zhang took Li's place, Jesus offers us the opportunity to be freed from eternal condemnation. By accepting his sacrifice, he transfers his name, his family, and his condition to us. We are no longer defined by our mistakes or history, but by his love and grace. This ancient practice of exchange resonates with the message of redemption found at the heart of Christianity. It reminds us that through faith, we can find a new life, a new identity, and a new hope. In Jesus, we find the true meaning of salvation, the possibility of being free and reconciled with the Creator. The story of Li and Zhang invites us to reflect on the sacrifice and transformation that occur when someone takes our place, reminding us that, despite facing difficult situations, there is always a chance to be reborn. Within each of us lies the possibility of being free, not by our merits, but by the eternal love offered to us. Like them, each of us has the opportunity to be redeemed, and in that process, find a new identity filled with hope and purpose.